this back up. So the things I did today, I didn't get completed, and I've spent a long time on it, but at least I understand to a degree. I'll try to go over everything I can think of real quick. You can create scenes here, and sometimes you can say duplicate. Sometimes you can't. So, like, I don't understand this. Well, previously I could do duplicate on that thing. Let's try this one. See if any of them will duplicate here. So far, no. No. Nope. All right, well, here. Nope. All right, so I don't understand that. Whatever. So previously, what I was trying to do was I was trying to create an initial human unit screen. So that kind of looks like this. Let's pull this back. So this is what I was kind of thinking. It didn't get implemented this way. I was going to make like the infantry image, some text below it to say infantry so that people who didn't know what these icons were would have some info. A count of them. So this is for like a new game, and then a spin counter to go up and down and say how many they are, and it would be like in a grid. That was the plan, and you'd have two columns, and first pass this would just be how many units, and then units would go in, and I would have kind of like a hard-coded unit 1 goes here, unit 2 goes there, and as you know, however many units you have, I would just add them. Later it would be you pick the units and then you place the units, but the computer would pick his automatically. So if I do this automatic code, that would be the same code that would be used later. So I'm doing 2 steps. All right, let's run it to show, and then I can kind of talk about how I did this. So a new game would come here, and you would have these rows, and you would have like an infantry row, armor row, yada yada yada, and you would have the computer, and you would be able to click these buttons, and this counter would go up. None of that works now. I think this is called a stepper. Yeah, it doesn't look like this. I thought you could style it to be like that, but I didn't see how to do that yet. All right, so that's that. The other thing is, let's go ahead and demo. We'll come back to the construction. So nothing's functional here. It's just getting it to lay out so that it appears kind of cool. This is just a white unit that I'm tinting red, so it's the same image. There was one other thing in the image assets. I had to like check a checkbox, because if I didn't do that, it wouldn't render correctly. Just one of the other gotchas I don't know about it. But right now it's just starting with one unit, like it has nothing to do with what's over there. I've just literally commented it out. And that was really so that I could test the other bug, which was the victory or defeat screen wasn't zoomed out correctly. Yeah, that pathing issue is there, whatever. I don't really care who wins or loses. Let's get this over with. All right, so the spacing here is not quite right. This is just a quick run. All right, and the fix though is when you get the new game, this is everything works. Like that works, but the zooming and the panning is still bound. The zoom still works, and it should get to the edge. Yeah, so all that works. So that's that. But let's talk about this bit up here. I'm trying to use the storyboards as much as possible. Um, like that little HUD for the game is in here. I'm going to try to do something similar later to these screens, but let's look. I think this is just cruft that's not being used, but let's see. Let's get these over. So basically, this new game screen looks like so. He's got a content. Let's see. So he's got the view, got a stack view. Within the stack view, he's got two container views. You drag from the container views up to the new scenes, and that's what this embed segue is. Present modally is now when you hit the start game button, that's literally, you can kind of like point and click it to get that in there. And then you just have to tweak a little bit of the code in this guy, right? All right, so that's that. As far as these, when you're trying to build these things here, which don't seem, it was hard to get them to work, but at first, because I was trying to get that stuff to be an image on top of the text saying the description, that would be a vertical stack view. And then the whole thing is embedded in a label, which is a number for the count of them, that's in a stack view that's horizontal, and then to its right would be the stepper. I spent so much time on that, and I couldn't get it to work. So I was like, let's be less advanced, let's make it simpler. And I went back and I made this instead of a custom. Let's see where it is. Instead of this being a custom, I made it a subtitle cell. When I did that, I got like the image and the text, but I couldn't get the other items in there. That's just the way that is. And I don't think if I do this, if I click on it, there's any ability to add text to it. No, there's not. All right, then it was getting the constraints, and I've been weak in this before, but I've actually learned something as a result of this. When you hold down, like if you grab this and you hold the control key, let's hold the control key, and I drag, I'm basically, when I do this and I pop it up, it's setting what the UI constraints are for when it runs, the layout. Currently, it's got a horizontal spacing. What's weird is it should have been like leading or trailing, but it's showing as that. Got me. When it's kind of like based upon what you click first, right? So like clicking here to here versus clicking here and dragging to there will give you different constraints. All right. Irregardless, when you've got them, if you click on the constraints and you click on, rather than these attributes, to this, I think it's called design layout or something, and size inspector, you can come up here and you can tweak it to say what the first item and the second item is, and then you can set leading or trailing here. So let's get one this is like the label, which is this guy, his trailing is equal to this stepper's leading plus 8. So that means his right side goes to this guy plus 8 characters, or 8 spaces, whatever that is. All right, now I'd like to do the other ones. The other ones are just blank, right? I'm hoping I don't have to type all that stuff back in. I'm hoping I can like duplicate it. I kind of doubt it, but you never know. The other thing is when you go up here and you get one of these guys, even though it doesn't say edit duplicate, you can actually just hit copy and paste using the hotkeys. It doesn't pop up like I'm clicking on the right hand side there, it's not there. The other thing is if you click here, you can set the name here and that will change what is up here. If you click there he's got the title, but I don't think that appears until you actually go down here. Another weird thing. Let's see what else is on here. In order to get these things to embed in the stack view, I make like a container view, and then I do the same thing. I drag up, and let's see, what it'll highlight. So you're wanting to go to this guy, but you don't drag it to that. You drag it to this. Anyway, that's that. You can also do these kind of things like, and this is what I did from way back when I was doing, like maybe close to 10 years ago. You can come down here, and if you've got the code in another window, you can drag something from here to the code, and you can get callbacks, and you can get like a spin box. That would be where the variable is that references that spin box or something. So that's that. I don't think there's anything else to say. But that, that's all I did today.